Alright, what is poppin', people? We're here, and today, I'm finally gonna look over the questions that some of y'all asked. How many did we get? We got like 10 total comments, so that's pretty good, not gonna lie. I just want to say thank you all as well for the ones y'all that did wish me happy birthday on that. That was pretty sweet of y'all. Let's get into this, though. I don't know if this video will turn into a general, like, just... I was gonna say the word expose, but I don't think it's the right word here. But just the general, like, history of Rabia and where, you know, I've come from in terms of my competitive Pokemon career or what. But we'll see. So, first question we got from the, you know, the man himself, GW, Greninja Warrior, asking me when I'll raise him to #1 in NU. And he'll ban me from his Discord and shame me in the NU Discord if I deny it. Well, guess I'm getting banned from your Discord because I'm not laddering more than I need to. Hello? I already complain about laddering in every video I upload. You think I'm laddering more than I need to? Nah, but on a bit more of a serious note, I have been wanting to try some sort of like laddering series because, you know, I always feel like it's still good to keep up with how the ladder's working in terms of what's common. So like right now, for instance, you see a lot of offense because, you know, Hail got a good amount of hype. You see a lot of dual screens, I would say, as well. Maybe that's just because I use it a lot, so I feel like it's seen more, but it's good to keep up, I feel, with the trends both in ladders and tour games, because that lets you see a bit better of a perspective for the metagame as a whole. If I play games only as a ladderer, then I'm not going to know what's going on in the tour games if I don't, you know, watch them as well. If I only play challenges with friendly challenges with friends to test teams, and, you know, I'll maybe not know what the ladder's doing. So I don't know, it helps to not let your perspective get skewed too far either way. But no, I'm not racing you to #1, GW, get out of here. I don't need that kind of stress. Next one, alright, he told me not to mess up his name. Sidheya Patil? I don't know. It looks like that might not be the worst pronunciation. When's my birthday is his first question. Like to believe that's a pretty easy one to answer. The video was uploaded on February 24th, so my birthday probably is on February 24th. What is my favorite tier? Oh my lord, there's so many questions here. Good shit, bro. Good shit. What is your favorite tier? Well, let's look at what I upload. It's NU primarily, followed by Cap. So, I'm gonna just assume that you can come to that conclusion on your own. Do you play music during tours and stuff? So I'm gonna assume what you're asking here is when I'm playing for tour games, am I listening to music? Yeah. I play music while when I'm playing a tour game, I am always listening to music. Part of it's just because I like listening to music. I think the other part of it is at this point it's kind of like one of those ritualistic behaviors where you just do something because, you know, whenever you're doing X, you do Y. It also does kind of help to just keep myself chilled out. If I need to just, like, zone into something, I can just, you know, sing the lyrics to some song or whatever while I'm playing. What is my favorite NU gen? This is a fun one because it's definitely not current gen. I have made it pretty clear for, like, say, so there's the Battle of the Week project, right? In the NU subforum. If you haven't checked it out, I recommend checking it out. Essentially, every week, people vote on 3 people that they want to see battle that week, and then the 2 people with the most votes are the ones that end up battling. And I made it pretty clear, I'm like, yeah, if I ever win this, I'm playing past gens against my opponent, by the way. I think Gen 3 is probably my favorite NU gen. And the story behind when I picked that up is a really, like, just weird one. Because it was really just kind of one of those in the spur of the moment things. I was looking, I guess, at old NU gens, and I was like, huh, Gen 3 looks fun. And then I asked Neomon, former NU off, and was like, hey, do you play this? Do you want to help? I want to get into it. Can you help me? And he, just kind of went on from there. And I kind of like the appeal of the gen just because, well, I've definitely joked about how I'm like, damn, I'm so glad we don't have to pretend Eldegoss is a good Pokemon anymore. Obviously, looking at the Gen 3 NU mods and what's considered elite in that tier, you got things like Wailord and Chimecho, right? Those aren't good Pokemon in the grand scheme of things. But I do think that it is a nice divergence from what NU has been like this gen and even last gen, where you've got veritably good Pokemon like, say, Cresselia and Mienshao down here. Back then, I just get to play around with some mons that I otherwise wouldn't get to. Again, Wailord, Chimecho. Haunter is a mon that you can kind of justify in more recent NU gens as well, because it is, strong enough and fast enough. But you got Haunter is one of the best mons. You've got Roselia, a premier spiker. Flareon is a really good attacker. Just things like that, where there are some strategies in Pokemon that you otherwise wouldn't really get to use nowadays, because, power creep or just maybe the strategy's outdated. I mean, like, Manual Sun is a thing that we've seen, but how about just singular Sun Sweeper? You can just tack a Bellossom onto a team with Sunny Day, Sleep Powder, Solar Beam, Hidden Power, Fire, and, that's a good mon. There's just a certain appeal to getting to look at these older strategies, these different metagames that I really do enjoy. Something as old as Gen 3 is just nowhere near the same as Gen 8, for instance. And then I would definitely say, though, a close second is Gen 7. And I think part of it is because I definitely got more into NU with Gen 7. But I also just enjoy the tier. I think we were able to get it into a pretty good spot, all things considered. I think you could still have some debates about, maybe you would say Sigilif should be banned in that tier. Some people might push for Heliolisk to be banned. Other people are, maybe tired of the formulaic Passimian plus Poison type plus Water type deal that's really common in that gen. But I still feel like it's a pretty versatile tier, all things considered. And so I like that. His next question, would you rather be allowed to only play 5 games in cap with weather and not play a single cap game, or be allowed to play infinite cap games but not be allowed to use weather? Probably the latter. I enjoy cap enough to where I would not want to I could drop using weather. I've got some teams in my build that aren't weather related. Like, if I open my builder, should I even do that? Yeah, I can show like some of my teams down here. So like, if you look at some of these teams, right, you still see a lot of weather, but you also see things like this. Weatherless builds. I think at the end of the day, the appeal for weather for me is that it's just heavy offense. And while I'm more of a balanced player, I think it's fun to diverge into those faster paced archetypes, because they help me have to play a little bit more proactively. And I feel like that is something that I've struggled with at times. So it's kind of just one of those things where it helps me practice and improve as a player, if that makes any sense. But also it's just helpful because, like, Tyranitar in cap has been really good. Just Spectre answer. And in general, sand builds have always kind of just been good. So yeah. Who made you start YouTube? So I've done YouTube in the past for like different kinds of content. This time around, I actually made a post about it in a hidden forum on Smogon, but it's definitely Finch. Finch was a huge reason that I wanted to get into it, because I saw that he seemed to be, having fun. And so I was like, I want to have fun too. And, I feel like NU has historically been a pretty underrepresented tier, right? You've got the titans of competitive Pokemon. If you want to go, like, way back, you got people like Rick, Dangerous 36M. You got, Pokeaim, Shofu. They did a whole bunch of OU. The only tier people that I can think of would be Flaming Spade, who did a lot of RU in Gen 5, back when that was, first gen that it was a tier. And I believe Hayden also did a lot of NU, actually, back in, like, the late 2000s. I feel like I remember a lot of Gen 4 indie videos from him. But in more recent years, you've seen, you know, like Joey and Thunderblender really just... They're the most prevalent PokeTubers for the competitive side of things on Smogon, and MV even. But they're, you know, mostly OU-centric. And of course, you've got some of the VGC YouTubers as well, like Wolfie. But when you look at lower tiers, a lot of the YouTubers are just smaller, unrecognized. And so I felt, you know what, I'll at least contribute where I can. I feel like my knowledge of the tier is something worth sharing. And while I do that through posts, I feel like doing it in video format's also just nicer, and in some ways it's a little bit more accessible to people. I do, you know, some people, you know, they don't like reading or they struggle to read. And at a point, staring at paragraphs and reading is a lot less fun than just watching someone, you know, maybe put things in practice, or even just listening to someone explain it. His next question, wow, this is so mean. Why am I lazy on Twitch? So I've got school, and I'm in my last semester, theoretically, of undergrad, and I have to write a thesis this year, which is a very long paper. You know, if you talk about long essays in high school, maybe it's 5 pages. I already have forgotten how long a high school paper is. But this is looking like it's gonna be, you know, potentially like 40 pages. So I've had to put more focus into that, and just my classes in general. It's a lot easier for me to find time to just record a video, even if it's like at the dark hours of night, than it is for me to stream. Because streaming takes a lot more, you know, time. You're doing that for a long period of time, continuous intervals of like multiple hours. With a video, if I want to, I could record something like 20 minutes and get something out. And that's at least some content to keep y'all, you know, entertained and interested. Next question. Have you completed getting over it after the No. I don't understand the controls well enough still, man. I don't know if it's my mouse or if, like, I just don't understand the true range of motion that game allots you. But I always feel like I'll make these large-ish circles, you know, because that's how you play Getting Over It. I clicked my taskbar there. You know, you gotta, you know, you move your mouse in a circle, and that determines, you know, how your little guy's hammer's swinging around. And I don't know, man. I guess I'm not moving it in a large enough circle, because my guy's, like, hammer will sometimes just go through his body instead of around his head. I'm just like, okay. Yeah, thanks. It's really helpful. So, short answer, no. Next one. What are your thoughts on getting views on reaction videos? Give me a second. See, that's the Great Taste G Fuel, which you too can use the code AIM to get 30% off on a product from their website. But my thoughts on getting views on reaction videos, I mean, it's just another way to, you know, do YouTube at the end of the day. I mean, someone like, say, Critical is someone that I watch a fair bit, and a lot of his content is, you know, him watching other stuff. And I think it's a very fun way to go about content creation. You could argue that some of the reaction videos are like, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like the stuff they're reacting to isn't the best. And I feel like a lot of the success on those videos ends up being how much is the person that's reacting actually interacting. God, that's so much repetitive sounds with words. But a lot of it comes down to how much is the video creator actually interacting with what they're trying to react to, right? If all my video is the video that I'm reacting to plastered over my screen and me just kind of watching there, and maybe every 2 minutes I go, haha, that's kind of funny. That's not any fun. So I do think it takes a certain amount of effort on your end. I think that if you argue that it's some effortless content creation, then I feel like you're looking at the poor end of it, I'll say. When is the GW collab? When GW stops being a lazy loser? Who would be your dream collab? Well, I've recorded with Joey, and honestly, I mean, fuck. Full fanboy like, stuff aside, he was one of my favorite YouTubers when I was growing up. You know, I vividly do remember watching his content super frequently in Gen 5. And a lot of his PO stuff was really great as well. So that's kind of one of my dream collabs satisfied right there. Damn. Who would have known Smoke on Snake Draft would have let me satisfy that? In terms of other people that I would like to maybe do something with, I mean, I don't know, man. The amount of at this point, I'm 22 years old. And so actually, like, having these super huge, you know, desires to record with people and just go like, oh my god, I want to interact with this person that I like so much. They're less. I mean, Shofu, I guess? I don't know. But what I hate is the fact that the only time I have run into Shofu on PS, it was at the beginning of Gen 8, when he was, you know, trying... I don't know if it was that he was trying to get back into competitive Pokemon, or if he was just giving it a chance. But I ran onto him in the ladder, and I had Stall queued up. And I was just like, wow, I feel really bad that this, the one time, this YouTuber I've been watching for a damn near a decade, that I get to battle him, and it's Stall. So I don't know, maybe I'd like to make it up to him. That's probably my best answer. What's my favorite dog Pokemon? God, I don't even know what dog Pokemon there are, man. I don't know. I'll say Espeon only because I wanted it to drop to NU last gen, and it never did. I think Espeon's a dog, right? Aren't all the evolutions supposed to be? Suicune, actually, probably at the top. I really like Suicune. Do you like squirrels? I don't know, man. The problem with squirrels is that my dogs like to not allow them to exist in the backyard. You can read into that how you will. How to avoid procrastinating. Now this is a powerful question because I'm really bad about procrastinating. I'll sit on my ass the entire day and I'll quite literally do some of the least productive things ever. I'll open Twitter, I'll scroll down it, I'll close the tab for Twitter, and then I'll go back and I will open Twitter right after closing the tab. And I think the big thing with stopping procrastinating and avoiding doing things like that is, I mean, I don't remember the guys, you know, the just do it meme or whatever? The guy yelling do it or whatever. I feel like that's quite literally the best way that I can phrase it. You just have to do it. You know, if you got a paper you don't want to write, you just gotta remind yourself, alright, if I get done with this now, then I'm not doing it later. And I could, you could enjoy your time significantly more when you don't have the looming threat of a deadline over you. I found that when I get assignments done ahead of time, I'm the most happy afterwards leading up to the deadline, because I'm like, yeah, I'm done with everything. And then you could put your attention to other things and not worry about, the increasingly smaller amount of time that you've got left to do something. No longer are you thinking about in the back of your head, oh shit, I gotta do this assignment, man. Oh, I've only got 2 days left. I only got 1 day left. I only got a few hours left. You just get rid of it ahead of time and you're like, oh, I'm great. Nice. Next question. We're almost done with the questions from Sidhea, so that's... Oof. Why do you laugh so much in your videos? I don't know. I just laugh because... The doomer answer in me, or not the doomer, the depressed emo boy answer in me would say it's because my voice is super monotone. And I feel like if I'm laughing a lot, then at least you all know that I do have the capability to feel emotion. If that makes sense. But a lot of it is just because I laugh a lot in general. It's just kind of one of those personality things, I guess. I don't know. It is a good question though, as I don't have an answer for it, so maybe we'll figure out one day. And then the last question from him: where did you get my counter to this mon is the X button? Probably from Pokemon, I would guess. I feel like there's just, I don't know, I might have thought of saying that myself, but I'm probably just gonna attribute it to him. I feel like he probably said it before me in a video and I just picked up on it. Thank you for all the questions, man. These are some good ones. Next up, we've got Meta Monogatari. Tell me happy birthday, sir. Thank you. And he wants to ask me, what is my favorite starter and why? Going to look really stupid if you do mention this in videos. I don't think I have. What's my favorite starter? Nostalgia reasons, I would say Mudkip. And it's because on my first full playthrough of Emerald, I picked Mudkip, and it was the first Pokemon that I ever got in level 100. So, yeah. If I put nostalgia aside, it might just still be Mudkip as well. I think Swampert's just really cool. Other contenders would probably be Froakie and Chimchar though, because Infernape and Greninja are just really cool. And I even really like Snivy a lot. I think Serperior's a really cool Pokemon, and in some of those Drayano hat games, the Blaze Black and Volt White, I just really liked getting Serperior, because having a contrary dragon type is just so fun. Next question we got from Kobe saying happy birthday, thank you friend. Assuming Mienshao gets the boot in the next suspect, who do you think becomes the next top mon in the meta, and why is it Duraludon? Well, I can assure you that it's not Duraludon. Let's look at some in-use stuff, right? If we want to look through Pokemon that we could potentially say is the next top mon, I think Copper should be very much up there. Let's do it here so I can click on mons. Copper should already be considered as potentially the top mon in the tier. It's the best Stealth Rock setter by a mile. Its coverage is insane, so those offensive sets that it could run, just a pain in the ass to switch into. You know, like Heavy Slam, Heat Crash, Power Whip, Stone Edge. There are not many mons that check that safely. So I think you consider that. Cresselia, obviously, you'd have her up there. Still an incredibly effective bulky win condition, even if I do think that her efficiency at sweeping is a little bit less than what it used to be, in lieu of Beware and Pangoro getting banned. But I would still rate Cress really highly. Honestly, I would say Cress and... what's it called? Cress and Copper Raja. You could argue for something like Salazzle, maybe. I do think Salazzle deserves some discussion. Rotom-Mow, I don't think it would ever be in contention for best mon unless a lot of stuff were to go, but it's definitely one of my like top 5 or so. Yeah, I think definitive answer, I'll say Copper Raja. But yeah, there are a few. Next question from Walter Strickland. Thank you for the happy birthday wish. Oh, we got a few of them. How long do you plan on playing the NU tier as the first one? Oh, that's a really good one. Because there have been times where I've considered just stopping playing competitive mons entirely. Or not entirely, but stopping like actually caring about competitive mons. Like, I've been playing for a very long time, and I'll wait till to say the specific time period until later, because I think someone else asks the question. Maybe they do. Let me check, actually. Does anyone ask when I specifically started playing? Actually, no one does, so I could say it here. I've been playing mons for 10 years, competitively. Roughly. I started when I was 12, and obviously I'm 22 now, so we're approaching the 10-year period at some point. Heading up to my next birthday. And at times it does get a little bit exhausting, and it's why I have diverged in terms of tiers that I played. I did not start as an NU player. The first tier that I ever played was OU, because, well, I think most people start off with OU. You know, all the YouTubers I watched at the time were frequently uploading it, so I'm like, okay, I have at least a little bit of knowledge of what's going on. But from there, I diverged into UU and Ubers. And this is all in Gen 5. And then X and Y hit, I took a long break, and in ORAS, I returned to Ubers because I was like, well, that's what I know. And at some point in SM, I started playing NU, so it's been a good 3-4 years I've been playing NU consistently at this point. And I mean, I'll play until I'm not enjoying it, right? I don't see a reason ever to do something that you don't like unless you quite literally have to. And I'm talking about like hobbies, right? If you have like just a general task that you need to get done and you don't want to do it, just fucking do it. But something like this, it's something I can quit whenever I want to. But I'm not going to quit it unless I am actually just not having fun. Or if there was some other major event that made me have to stop, right? Like maybe, you know, IRL priorities just ended up being too heavy. Have you thought about playing other tiers? Well, I play Cap, so I guess that's another tier. I occasionally dip into other tiers as well. I mean, we've seen me play UU a little bit. I've played PU a little bit. It just kind of depends on my mood, because I don't frequently play these tiers. And to truly get good at a tier, it does take a fair bit of time to pick up on the meta and what people are using. You can load up, I think if you're a good player, you can load up a sample team at any tier and have some success. But to actually be good at the tier, I think it requires more than just competent play. I think there's a lot of it that goes into metagame knowledge and even team building. So that kind of is what puts me off from getting too much into another tier. I have connections in other tiers with just friends. If I want to get into PU, I have people that I could ask for help with that. It's just, I don't want to spread myself too thin across the metagames, if that makes sense. So next question, when did you become one of the Never Used Rooms room owners? I think mid-2019, I believe. We're approaching about 2 or so years that I've been a room owner. I believe that was... Who else was a room owner at the time? I think it would have been Eternally... Finch, maybe Razzery, maybe Roses. I think those were the other ones at the time. And now, of course, we've got me, Roses, and Poe as the only 3. So times have changed. For someone starting to make NU and other tier content videos, what kind of videos and advice would you suggest? Well, I think we can start off with the general advice. Only do it if you're having fun. I think this is feedback that people give far too frequently, but it's kind of necessary. If you're not having fun, your content quality is going to suffer. Because I do think when you don't enjoy something, you put a lot less effort into it. So something that I've noted for personally in like my school classes, and at this point I have pretty much all the credits that I need for my specific major, so I can take whatever the hell I want. But when I take classes that I'm less interested in the subject than like some other class that I have, right? You'll notice that my participation in that class is a lot lower. And it's just because I'm not, you know, enthusiastic about what I'm doing. I don't care. You need to make sure that you want to do what you're doing, because when you're willing to if you're putting effort into it, that's when it will be good. And in terms of like, I don't know, videos, I don't know, just whatever you are having fun with. I think there's some like very fail-safey kinds that you can do, like, you know, just general PS lives, PO lives if you play on PO. Those will always work, because I think anyone that has something to say while they're playing, that's content that's worth watching. I think informative content's also probably like the most fun though for me to make and watch. I think there's just something real nice about actually learning about what's going on, right? As Confucius once said, the way to become a gentleman is through knowledge. Something like that, at least. I just think it's very important that we have like people willing to share their knowledge within the Pokemon community. And I think the more of that we have, the better. Pokemon is not the most accessible game. Obviously, it's a very luck-based game. And you can see people that succeed with some pretty awful teams / play. That's just kind of how it works. But I do think that accessibility is improved when people are willing to share their knowledge. And I always like to see people improving when they're playing, which is why I make some of these informative videos about NU, right? I want to make sure that anyone willing to get into NU has the tools necessary to make a smooth transition into the tier. So, I think that's something worth considering. Thank you for the questions, though, man. Next up, we got Awin, unfortunately. Yeah, you're not allowed to ask for my SSN. I'm glad you're self-aware there. What are your thoughts on your NU experience as a whole, from when you were first starting out until now? How has it been for you? Well, I fortunately dodged the terrible time that was Oras NU and how shit the community was, to my understanding. So that's been good. And to stick on the community bit, I think NU's got one of the most welcoming rooms and discords even as a whole. And that's not to say that there aren't moments of confrontation. I mean, literally yesterday in the Discord, I had a heated argument with some guy that was calling Zoroark broken. I mean, it just happens. But in the grand scheme of things, I think NU is very just nice. I don't know. We don't have a whole bunch of people that are just pains to be around even. Like, I think the general annoyance level of people's gotten down. I don't know. I think we're a welcoming community nowadays, and that's through the efforts of like Eternally and other Rumoth. I think under Eternaly's tier leadership we progressed a lot. I think under the current room ownership we've continued to progress. I hope the current tier leadership keeps things on a steady path, which we seem to be doing right now. And all the Rumoth that we've brought in this year, like you, Awen, obviously would be one of them, but like Corpheus, Oathkeeper, Pokeslice, he's a voice, but, you know, Rumoth, Hoenn confirmed even. I enjoy the presence pretty much of all of y'all. And I think that y'all have done a great job keeping the general spirits of the room up, helping new players get into the tier. It's been good. And my NU experience kind of mirrored this. I think NU, when I got into it, thanks to the efforts of K in 2017, the room was nice. It didn't feel like it was too hard to get help from anyone. Part of it helped that I just, again, had immediate connections within Rumoth, but, you know, it doesn't feel like a daunting task. It didn't feel like one, at least for me, when I was trying to get into the tier. So it's been a good time. Next up, we got a question from Lucario Numbers. I don't even remember your PS numbers. 1538 maybe. Asking, when will I use meme teams on ladders for videos? I already use meme teams. Need I remind you of the Drizzile Screens team? That won multiple games, mind you. I mean, it's just one of those things where it depends on how I feel on any particular day at any particular time. If I want to meme up the ladder, I will. If I don't, then I won't. It happens. Next up, we got a question from Mercedes 450 SLC. That is a long name, friend. When will you upload a P or RU ladder content? When I want to. Pretty much, if you're the answer to any question about when I'll upload specific content, it's really just when I want to. As I mentioned earlier, actually getting into a tier is difficult, and while just doing a singular video on a tier ain't hard, I still feel a little bit lost when I'm playing the tier, so I don't know what to say a lot of the time. It's hard for me to explain my thought process when I'm just kind of having to hope that what I'm saying about what the mon in front of me does is correct. And, you know, at a point, I've played mons for a long time. I generally know what things will do, regardless of the tier they're in, because there's mostly some consistency. But I mean, I don't know, man. Do I know what role Magnezone does in current RU? Not really. Do I know defensive cores in PU? No. I like to be able to explain myself and use knowledge to, you know, say something of worth, and it's a little bit harder to do when I don't know, you know, the tier. Thank you for the question, though. From Sapbear, who does leave a happy birthday comment at the end. Pog U, when did your love for the NU tier start and why? I mean, well, I started playing frequently in 2017. And I would say that I don't know, it would have been somewhere in 2018, I guess, because I think it was late in the year that I really got into it. But I started enjoying the tier primarily just because it was fun. I liked the mons that I could use. You had things like Incineroar, Emborge, Redagon. Eventually we got things like Comfey, Passimian, Heliolisk, Delmise. That's really just it. The mons that were in the tier were fun to use. I enjoyed the team structures that I was able to make. And honestly, again, like, I felt that I knew what was going on, and I think that does help. So yeah, thank you for the question. And the last question, well, last series of questions, they're going to be from the boy Robbie R. Thank you for that birthday wish, Fred. What was your favorite subject in school? So I'm a humanities major, and so that means classes like literature, religion, non-STEM classes, really. But I still would say that my favorite subject in school has historically been math. I've taken a good amount of pure mathematics classes in university, so things like number theory, graph theory, and then I've taken like a lot of applied math as well through, like, say, what's it called? Ooh, linear algebra, calc. But math has always been nice because I've had some sort of natural understanding of math throughout my years in school. And I think when you naturally get something, like when you are good at something, I think you will enjoy it more than if you're bad at something. So that probably helped. Whereas at times, with essays, I struggled to write things all that well. I think part of it was just because I'd look at something and I go, oh boy, I have to write 2 pages of some bullshit that I don't care about at all. Not fun. But with math, it's like, okay, I just have to do some stuff with numbers. Easy. If you could have one job/occupation in the Pokemon world, what would it be and why? I mean, God, what even occupations are there? You could be a daycare dude, a professor, I guess. Bro, I'd be the professor, man. I'm giving out starters to people. I'm responsible for the new generation. Me. That sounds kind of fun, honestly. And I mean, hey, I generally don't care about research and, doing stuff with the Pokedex. I've never tried to fill it up, so there we go. Now I'd have an excuse to. And then the last question we've got, what is my favorite book/movie? So, I don't read. At least not for fun. I read for classes, but I don't read for fun. And so, movies as well, like, I don't know, general cinema, I don't pay much attention to, so instead, what if I offered you... Oh, should I open... I don't think I should open that Mal there. Let me open Mal on my other tab. I don't want to show anything from here that might be a little bit too saucy. So here are the things that I have ranked as a 10 on my anime list. I've got Clannad After Story. I have Toradora. I have Sakura So. I've got The Promised Neverland Season 1. Not Season 2. Season 1. And then I've got Attack on Titan Season 3 Part 2. So there you go. I guess those would probably be what I'd qualify as my favorite TV shows. Obviously there's some things I have below that as well, but not too important. That's it for the questions, though. I appreciate the fact that we got a good amount that I could go through. And I hope this at least gives you some insight into me as a person. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I will upload the part 2 to Mystery Dungeon eventually. It's recorded. Again, going back to the procrastination thing, I just have to do it. This isn't even hard. This isn't even something hard to do, man. I just keep forgetting. My memory is awful at times. Guys, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.